Hi, welcome back to Now TV Canada. I am just a YouTube channel on December 25th day. I keep forgetting, right? You get so much you want to say and then you lose track of your thought. In this case, I was trying to relate food to the Bible and how cooking is very similar to following the scripture, where I have to encourage people to not deviate from the recipe. If a recipe says use Robin Hood flour, use Robin Hood flour. If a recipe says use sun-made raisins, use sun-made raisins. If a coffee cake says use Nescafe instant coffee, use Nescafe instant coffee powders, whatever, right? If it says skim milk powder, use skim milk powder. In order to get the actual effect, the desired outcome of the recipe as to what it's supposed to look like, feel like, and taste like, you have to stick to certain parts of a recipe. Then there's having the common sense of knowing when it's okay to deviate from certain things. Like for this, my lentil soup, the recipe here, I'll tell you. It says to put in some carrots. It says shredded, but you can chop them. This whatever size you want. And then it says to chop up 1 large onion. And then it says celery. And I have not got celery in the house. So I won't be able to make the lentil soup today because I am missing the celery. I love celery. So I like celery and lots of things. So I'm going to want the soup with the celery. So if I did make it, I could only make it partly. And then it's asking for olive oil. So I guess really nice olive oil, because olive oil is extremely important to us. We don't eat enough olives in our diets, and extremely important that we have a certain amount of what olive has in it for us. And then it says water and salsa, and then the package of the lentils, and then it says some spinach. So I forgot that too. So I'm not going to deviate from the recipes. What I'm saying, I'm going to go when the stores are open tomorrow, store I got this from, and to get finish getting the rest of the stuff that's on here so I can make the lentil soup recipe that is on here. Because if you've never made something before, the best thing to do is start with the basic recipe that you have that comes with whatever you've purchased. Like I have a ton of recipes in my Cuisinart cookbook I didn't even know I had. And so I'm going to learn how to make new stuff with the Cuisinart, and see how good the recipes are in there. Only after you've explored what the first original recipe tastes like in something, then can you have an idea of what needs to be changed. For instance, I have a little beef. Often I'll read recipes where it constantly says unsalted butter. And I have to say that it is okay to put in salted butter in places where it says unsalted butter, because if you're not using lots of salt in the recipe anyway, you're not going to oversalt whatever you're making, like breads or certain kinds of pastries. And actually the salted butter gives more flavor to your food. It doesn't taste as bland. So in order to know to do that, it is always good to start with the basic recipe. My grandmother taught me to use Robin Hood flour, so I use Robin Hood flour faithfully. She taught me to use tender flake lard. I use it faithfully. I've tried to deviate a few times, and you just don't get the same pastry shell results as to the stuff that is passed down to you through the years of experience of do's and don'ts in your family kitchen. So it's important to do that. So living by the Bible and scripture is very much the same thing. Don't deviate from the instructions of God and try to create your own instructions, or think that you can change instructions and thinking that you're smarter, better, and can do something that is God-like, instead of seeking God or needing God at all, because you're not going to get the same God-like results. So that is why it's important to know how to read a recipe and how to follow what's on the recipe, so that you can get those beautiful results that everybody wants to be able to enjoy. So I find that today in the world, people often will cheat. They'll use cheaper products of all sorts of things for recipes, and it no longer tastes the same. If nobody has noticed, the McDonald's food, specifically the cookies and the apple pie, same thing with A&W and KFC, their chicken, none of it is the same as the dinners people had my age when we went to family restaurants and ate out once a month with our families, and and the quality of the food and the flavor, and how healthy everything was, including the chicken that you were eating. Terrible difference today. And meanwhile, they're saying it's the same recipe, but you can tell it's not. So, yeah, don't deviate much from the recipe, if at all. Often you won't need to. So I'm not going to make lentil soup today. I'll stick to my steak sandwich with my homemade bread. I just wanted to add in that comment with the other video that I had forgot to mention. So yeah, it's a good stay-at-home December 25th day for me. I went out yesterday and it's raining crazy in Vancouver. We've had no snow this winter. If we get any, it won't be till January or February. So I hope everybody enjoys whatever they make today, and whoever they eat with. It's important we socialize and eat with other people. Boom.